Welcome to another edition of Let the Record Reflect. My name is Donnell White, your Executive Director here at the Detroit NAACP, standing in on behalf of our President, the Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony. I'm pleased to be joined with our guest here today, Senor Francisco Zamora from the Consulate of Protection for the Mexican Consulate, Ms. Cindy Garcia, Immigrants Rights Activists with the Alliance for Immigration Reform, and Mr. Sergio Martinez, also with the Alliance for Immigration Reform. So we had a very spirited conversation today with our allies group, conversation centered around immigration. And one of the things that I talked about as we talk about imagery, when I say criminal, a certain image pops into our viewers' minds. If I say the word terrorist, a certain image pops into our viewers' minds. And much like if I say the word immigrant, I think the image would pop in of people running across the border with night vision goggles, and we're finding people in the bushes, and they're coming over and they're taking all of our jobs away here in this country. But we know that could not be anything further from the truth. And so I'm going to start with you, Senor Zamora. What are we talking about when we really say immigration? What does it really mean to us here in this country?
Okay, immigration is a very complex phenomenon. It involves basically the movement of people from one country to another for many reasons. And unfortunately there are misconceptions. One of the misconceptions is they're escaping from poverty or from a repressive government, but actually there are motivations. One is there is economic issues. Many of the people wants to have a better living standards. That's why they come to a country that offer opportunities, and this is nothing wrong. I mean, if we look to the U.S. history, is what that creates this country, immigration.
That's true.
And there is a need of immigration. There is a need of people to work to replace the aging population, to provide services, because many of the immigrants, they do health services, manual work, that there is a need to do it. Another misconception is that immigrants doesn't have skills. They have skills, sometimes they are not recognized as such, but once they give it, or they have the opportunity to work, they provide and they prove themselves. There are a lot of immigrants who have university degrees, and they only need a short training to get used to the system or to speak the language. But besides that, they have initiative, they have a working attitude, and they have loyalty for the country it is hosting them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Ms. Cindy Garcia with the Alliance for Immigration Reform, you brought a different perspective today, which I think is a very important perspective, and how immigration has significant impact on family structure. How are our families of our brothers and sisters being impacted as it relates to this immigration issue?
What had happened is I'm an American citizen. My children are American citizen. My husband was here, brought at the age of 10 years old. He is undocumented. Now we've been trying to fix his status since 2002. That's when the laws changed, and no one took an effect that the laws had changed, because it wasn't affecting a broad community. It was affecting maybe 5 to 10 people at that time. Now that it's affecting 11 million people, now it's a greater concern, because the children are being separated from their parents, and it's causing psychological, intake on the children, where, like I said before, if there's a knock at the door, the kids are running. You're driving down Werner, the little kids are like, Mama, look, there's immigration. And the mother starts to panic, of course, and then she turns off and just waits and parks in a parking lot to make sure that they're not following her. And these people live in the shadows, and they need to come out of the shadows to know that, hey, I want a status. I'm not here to cause any problems. I want a status for me, so my children can know they don't have to worry that they wake up or they don't come back from school that I may not be at home.
Wow, that's very, very, very impactful. And Sergio, you also too had a unique perspective. As a dreamer, one who was registered under the DREAM Act that came in, there's also this notion that immigrants are coming over They are a drain on society, but there's a different perspective about those who are coming over who want to contribute to society, those who have high dreams and aspirations like all those that are here within this country. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I was brought to the country when I was 5 years old with my 6-month-old brother. My family didn't speak English. My father took classes to better himself. He went from factory work to a truck driving position, which offered many benefits to our family, in which we moved out of the neighborhood and moved to a suburban neighborhood, and we're living the American dream. Then certain laws that favored self-deportation started taking effect, causing my father to lose everything, his job, going to bankruptcy, foreclosure. So it was like a very polarized change from like day to night, it felt like. And I've been here since 5, so I've gone to school, I graduated, I pledged allegiance, I've learned history, I mean, I'm American in every way but one, which is paper. And it's just a difficult thing to deal with every day, feeling American, but yet it's kind of like you're invisible. You're in the shadows, and whenever you come out of the shadows, you become attacked. And not because we do anything wrong, but because people think that illegal is illegal, or a policy has been broken. And it's a very difficult thing to deal with, especially with my peers, and keeping up with my peers, and trying to be successful and trying to be part of this community and give back. And I think that we've done everything in our power. I mean, people my age, the dreamers, we have degrees, I've managed businesses, and we contribute every way we can, even without documentation. And just imagine what the people could do if there was no restriction, if there was no prejudice towards us, if we just were able to come out of the shadows and fully contribute. I mean, it's a benefit for everyone.
Some very good points, and I know we do have to take a break, but when we come back, I know there's some resources that the consulate can have for individuals that may have questions or want to know how to engage this process or feel as though they are in need of resources. So I'm going to ask you, Senor Zamora, when we come back after the break, if we can talk about that. But also as activists, I also think many of our viewers want to know, how can I help? They've seen this issue play out on the national scene, from the president's house all the way down to our individual houses. So I also want to talk about how individuals at home who are watching can get engaged, get involved, and take away that fear that you described, just standing in line. You know, the issue of racial profiling is a real issue. We've been waving that banner here at the NAACP for many years. So we want to talk and give people ammunition in terms of how they can fight back on this issue of immigration. So stay tuned. You're watching Let the Record Reflect. We'll be right back.
You're watching Let the Record Reflect with the Detroit branch NAACP, celebrating 100 years of civil rights and social justice advocacy.
Now, we've been talking to a lot of people who are at home and may be connected to this immigration issue, but in closing, as we wrap this up, and it's certainly been a pleasure having all 3 of you on our show today.
Thank you.
But what do we say, Senor Zamora, to those, and Cindy and Sergio, what do we say to those who are at home saying, immigration, it's not my issue. You know, I'm over here in this box, in this sandbox. Immigration is in that sandbox. What do we say to that individual? How does it impact them directly? Do they have a dog in this fight, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely immigration is an issue that regards all the society. Immigrants, whatever documented or without documents, are part of the society. They contribute in economic terms, they contribute in social terms and in cultural terms. And thinking that they don't belong to me It's a misconception because they pay taxes, they create jobs, they are working, they are providing services for all the people and the rest of society. And we should not forget that the countries in American continent are countries of immigrants.
Thank you. Cindy?
I have to say that if we go back to think about it in reality, everybody here is undocumented, illegal, except for the American Indians. They were the first ones here. Everybody else came on a boat, swam across, they did something to get here. So obviously, they have to think about it as we're a big melting pot. So obviously, we're very diverse. And in order for us to stay diverse, we have to accept other cultures, accept other views. We're not just all blue people, we're not all yellow people, because we wouldn't have an open mind if we were all yellow, if we were all purple. We have to be different colors, we have to accept what goes on in society, and you have to realize that if they come after me right now, which is of brown skin, obviously who's next? It could be you at any given time. So if we don't come together collectively to fight this, we can stop them going after you. But if you don't join our fight, you're going to sit by yourself. And obviously when it's your turn, you're going to ask for our help. We may not be there.
Sergio?
I think locally in the Metro Detroit area, it affects you because if you live here in Detroit, you see that all the vacant homes. You see what's going on in our community as far as population-wise. And when we deport people that do the right thing every day and take them from their homes, and that home becomes vacant, that affects you as a member of this community. Whether you're undocumented or whether you're documented, whether you're an American citizen, you see that same house that everyone else sees. And the message that we're giving out right now with this broken system is, I'd rather see a burnt down house that's vacant, that can be harmful to our society, than an undocumented family living in there. And I think that's a very powerful message that we're sending out, and a very wrong message that we're sending out, because the majority of people, we want Detroit to succeed. We want Detroit to, we have a stereotype as Detroiters, let alone adding to it, I'd rather see a vacant house and get them out of here. You know, that's not what we're about. We want to contribute. We want to open up businesses. We want to take the businesses that are closed and abandoned here and build. We want diversity. That's what makes Metro Detroit prosper, is diversity. That's why business want to come here, because you have Arabic restaurants that are great, you have Mexican restaurants, you have Lebanese, or I'm sorry, you have Italian restaurants, you have all different cultures, and that's what makes the Metro Detroit area so wonderful, and everyone's trying to be a part of it. And I think that that's something that not a lot of people realize. Your neighbor, your friend, somebody knows somebody that's undocumented, but because they are afraid and they live in the shadows, they don't speak up, and they're not going to.
Well, Mr. Sergio Martinez, Miss Cindy, I always want to say Estrada when you say UAW.
That's my vice president.
Miss Cindy Garcia, and certainly Senor Zamora for being with us today. It's been another edition of Let the Record Reflect. And whether you believe immigration is your issue or not your issue, I believe Dr. King said it best when he said a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So we stand with our brothers and sisters in the immigrant community for doing what's right. We'll see you on the next edition of Let the Record Reflect. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.